All right, folks, here we are. Upper bracket, Trap versus Serral. Winner moves on to the upper bracket finals. Loser, well, they dropped down, they got another shot. But before we get into things, before we truly dive into this series, of course, first and foremost, reminder, once again, please make sure to like, subscribe, comment, do all those things. It really helps us out at the channel. And of course, if you want to gain access and want to help support all the different events that we run, not TSL 8, but things like the Brawlers Club, different things like that, make sure to go check us out on Patreon and get your hands on some replay packs as well. Why not? But that's enough of that. We got a series here, and in the bottom left, in the red, he is Friends Esports, Serral. And in the upper right, in the blue, the man who solved PvZ, he is for the Freak of Freaks, Trap. I don't know whether it's quite fair to say that the man has solved PvZ, because certainly Protoss players still losing this matchup, and certainly people would argue based off tournament results that Protoss are maybe a little bit lower on the totem pole than the other two races, in part because of the Queen Walk, in part because of how Zergs keep the man down. But Trap showed Protoss players had to play at the very least with the double Stargate style, with the early, pretty much the entire modern Stargate meta has been defined by our player in blue. And the really cool thing, by the way, is we were starting to see him play around with non-Stargate play. He showed the entire world start of 2020, or I guess actually, sorry, start of 2021. Hard to believe that we're at the end of 2021 now. At the beginning of 2021, this is how you play PvZ. You open up with Stargate, you get a 350 third base. At 4 minutes and 15 seconds, you get your second Stargate. It's double Stargate Void Ray. Go from there. And then, yes, we saw players like Lambo go and say, oh, well, actually, German Taxi, Queen Walk, Soul Stroll, the something underground, different versions of the same idea. Putting a bunch of queens and roaches on the other side of the map, whether it's through Dropper Lords, whether it is through a Nidus, whether it's through nothing at all, whether it's just through that waddle. Zerg players started to learn how to deal with that, so Trap evolved, but now we are starting to see him play a lot more of the non-Stargate style. I don't know whether this is because, at this point, people have started to realize that Trap is a Stargate guy. Well, people have realized this for a while, but Trap is an excellent Stargate player, so if you play with a bias towards assuming Trap's going to play Stargate, then the best thing that Trap could do is to not play Stargate, to say, you know what? No, I don't need to do that. In fact, because you're maybe cutting corners and getting a 5-minute Roach Warren instead of a, 345, 4-minute Roach Warren. Maybe because you're just droning and getting queens instead of developing your tech. Maybe I can hit you with something else. Or in the case here, he goes Glaive Adepts, goes for a 4-gate Glaive, and then maybe Serral gets his Roach Warren just a little bit later, things go down. Or in this case, maybe it doesn't have a detection on time and the DTs caused havoc. But first and foremost, Serral is going to scout very soon that, yeah, there is no third base coming down at 350. He did see that the Warp Gate was done a little bit faster. Now, of course, Warp Gate being done at a standard Warp Gate or a standard Gateway Warp Gate timing for Trap is not the weirdest thing because, well, he does this. He is pretty much the only player left, and his original build does call for Warp Gate into Stargate. It tends to be rather powerful, but Trap's kind of the only one that is left doing this because, of course, on the one hand, you go and you get your faster Warp Gate. It does keep your third alive a little bit faster, but also your Stargate units are a little bit late. But of course, we'll talk about that more in the next game or whenever we see this happen, because right now we have Trap going for a bit of an all-in here in this game number 1. So he's going to open up with DTs and say, yep, I'm going to put DTs in. If I can kill a base, if I can kill detection, if I can kill queens, that's fantastic. But behind the 6 gateways are going down, and this is effectively going to be an 8-gate Immortal Charizard. And that just happens to have some DTs that look for damage first before they get turned on into those Archons, because this is 3 gas. This is going to be a much higher tech all-in. He's going to continue to build more and more Archons. It's not just the 2 and not mining any gas after that. But anyway, DTs, now we're going to try to run on in here, try to find some semblance of damage. And actually, is there detection right here? Yes, there is. Okay, so These DTs are not going to get too much done, but now Zealot's getting warped on in, and this is where things are going to start to get a little bit complicated. So Zealots will get dropped into the main base. Or not. There we go. Now there's the call down from Ire here. A bunch of more. Yeah, there we go. 2 DTs, a bunch of Zealots warping in. But Serral, he's got stuff. Now, I don't know if he's quite where he needs to be just yet, but he's got a lot of stuff in production here. He has a decent amount of roaches. Archons are going to get on top of these drones, but the drones are going to get pulled away rather quickly. But the scary thing about this build is just how quickly it compounds. All the Zerglings that have been made, all 24 of them, they are worse than useless. They don't do anything. They just give us a false sense of supply here. Now the Zealots, the Archons are going to try to get on top of things. The splits from the roaches and the queens are absolutely fantastic. And there we go. The excuse me. The Archons are going to start to go down, the Zealots as well, but this one DT in the midst of things is actually causing so much havoc. The detection was gone. The Zealots and the Archons got on top of it, and now these queens that are doing such a good job of knocking down the Archons, knocking down the Zealots, well, the DT, the single DT has done so much here, but the question now is whether Trap has more after that, whether he's done enough here to truly break Serral, because Serral will have continuous reinforcements. He has detection now. Yes, the queens have gone down, but he still has at least one to shell away at that Warp Prism, and it looks like Serral has absolutely held this. He's up by 30 army supply. He's back, not quite back into droning yet, but you know, he's sitting here on 47 workers. He has his 3 bases. He can do whatever he wants at this point. The world is his oyster because Trap is not going to be able to warp in enough to make something happen anymore. And by the way, I really like the spore positioning in the natural. It's important to talk about that. Well, okay, I guess it moved back. Or moved to the 3rd. But there was a spore that was placed like right at the natural here, which meant that pretty much any sort of DT run by was not going to accomplish anything. As that's cute. Trap, he wants to be active on the map here with his Warp Prism still, so he kind of says, oh, okay, my Archons are in this Warp Prism, that's fine. I'm going to drop them off halfway across the map, and they can run home. But this DT actually has a chance for some havoc here. There is no detection for the moment, but there we go. Okay, Spore's out, but still 4 drones have died. That's something. It's starting to be some of the damage that... Trap wants, but Trap wants a whole lot more than that. He's gonna need, I mean, really, realistically, I think he needs to kill a base right now. He is not traded anywhere near well enough, as especially losing that DT. I mean, yeah, he's not traded anywhere near enough to justify the damage that he did to himself by going for that push. And even as he looks to get active on the map here, I mean, all Serral has to do is just build a lot of roaches. Maybe get some raptors, because raptors are nice, and maybe some lings just for surrounds, but in general, you know, Serral's going to be in a really good spot against any sort of aggression coming from Trap. That being said, I think this aggression from Trap is much less the aggression of, wow, I'm going to go kill you, Serral, be careful, and much more of a, okay, I need to represent some threat on the map here because I'm trying to take a 3rd base. I don't want this Zerg Sledgehammer to just go across the map and kill me. I think it's still going to happen. I think the Zerg Sledgehammer is still, you know, absolutely going to drive Trap into the ground, but, you know, there are options. Maybe these Archons find 30 worker kills. Actually, I'm not even sure that would do it because the army differential is not insane. And look at this. So Serral is actually going to go for Aspire here in this game. I guess kind of realizing that, you know, it's kind of hard to kill your opponent on Glittering Ashes. It's such a big map, and the chokes, well, not as bad as, say, a Romanticide, are still significant. So instead, he's like, okay, well, how do I kill my opponent? I go Spire. I build a lot of mutas. I run across the map and say, hey, you know what? Mutas. And I don't believe this has been scouted by Trap whatsoever. Serral, by putting in that spot, I mean, we saw aggression from Trap try to find its way to the main. That it didn't work. The Spore Crawler killed the Hallucinated Phoenix. So actually, no Hallucinated Phoenixes have been in the in that spot between the main and the natural. Are they Phoenixes? Or are they Phoenices? I felt the Latin declining here. I'm gonna go with Phoenices. Although, of course, nothing gets my goat more than people talking about Colossi. That's just wrong on so many levels. Anyway, Serral, you know, he's done a pretty good job maintaining this creep spread. I mean, yeah, the Archons have been active on the map, and they've done a decent job of curtailing it, but even still, he's got about a screen, you know, everywhere. It could be more, but, I mean, you gotta remember, he was attacked early. He lost a lot of queens early that do take a while to rebuild. There we go. Muta's now on the map here, going for a max on the Mutas, really, especially with +1 melee. That does tell us that Serral is he's gonna commit to this a little bit more than kind of, oh, I'm gonna build 8 to 10, 8 to 12 Mutas. I'm gonna, you know, do nothing. He does want to get a little bit more done with this. We have to see what he looks to do here. So the 4th base for Serral is now up. This War Prism is gonna go. Actually, that's showing only the 3 Mutas here. Is kind of annoying. I think I really would have liked to see Serral kind of wait for all of his Mutas to pop out, and then that War Prism is dead regardless, versus kind of getting through in the or getting away in the recall. Because now there are 2 more defensive Archons that can kind of make these Mutas a little bit less impactful than they might otherwise be. But really, the ground army of Trap, for the most part, is kind of useless against what Serral has. I mean, yeah, sure, Immortals and Archons can be somewhat good against Banes, and Archons are fantastic against Mutas, but these Mutas are never going to look for a straight-up fight. And, you know, Disruptors against Mutas, oh, horrible. So Mutas are going to look for pickoffs on that one as well. As there we go. A Disruptor is going to go down. There we go. It's dead. A couple workers have died. Yeah, there we go. This is just so much of it. Oh, okay. Nice hot back up there from Trappy. We'll keep that Disruptor alive. But at this point, I mean, Trap has only just narrowly built himself back up into some passable semblance of an economy within the last minute or so. And Serral is just taking it away from him again. All right, so now the Mutas, once again, they will find their way into the 3rd base here. As, I mean, Trap, to his credit, he's trying to find value. He's trying to find some way to make this happen, but now Banelings come crashing on in. Disruptors are not going to be allowed to get any shots off, and now the Mutas, it doesn't matter what they do anymore. I mean, yeah, sure, killing off some of these Immortals are nice. It means the Roaches are just a little bit more powerful. But, you know, actually, with the secondary army here from Trap, it's looking a little bit better. I mean, you look at this flight and you realize it doesn't matter. But this is an army from Trap that can fight what Serral currently has on the map. There are enough Immortals, there are enough Blink Stalkers that this Roach Ravager composition, it doesn't do much, but you gotta remember, a lot of the supply lead for Serral, it is in his economy, which is just gonna bear fruit later on, and a lot of it's in things that are building, Banelings that are yet to hit the map. A Greater Spire, that's gonna come down here, which of course will be the final nail in the coffin, should Serral allow it to get that late. Should he just not go kill Trap right now? Well, he's got that other tool, right? He's got that Greater Spire to make sure to really put the game in the bag. But I'm pretty sure with these Mutas here, he's going to be able to put the game in the bag as more and more Banelings are now done. How many Banelings? What are we at? We're at only 34 Banes. Okay, I mean, come on, Serral. We need 60. We need 70 Banes. We need so many Banelings tasteless all over again. At this point, Serral, he's just really not committing to Mutas nearly as much. I mean, he's kind of okay with letting these go down. As there we go, Banelings come crashing on in, and yeah, Immortals and Archons are good against Banelings. This much is true. But now Lings are going to get on top of everything that Trap holds dear. His army falling down below 100 supply. GG. Serral. He takes game number 1. Okay, so game number 1, we saw the DT play, and it is a powerful build, especially if he catches a player off guard, but this is Trap. You know, Trap does not, or this is Serral. Serral is probably the best Zerg player just in terms of kind of raw information gathering, and in fact, it's kind of funny watching Serral play Raynor, because, well, when you know how when you play a player so much as, you know, 2 players on the same server, at kind of this highest level of Zerg play tend to do, and you kind of know how they play. So again, Serral is very reliant on the information that he gathers. You can start to use that against him. So I mean, the amount of ZVZs where we see just Raynor play some elaborate mind game and kill Serral, not because he's technically better in terms of, you know, mechanics, which, you know, that's an argument to be made for another day, but strictly because he just said, oh, Serral, I know you're scouting every 30 seconds, so I'm going to throw all the confusing things that you know, every 30 seconds, and I'm actually going to do what I want to do. So, you know, I don't know that that build that we saw Trap do had enough kind of blind fakes in it to make anything happen, but look at this. Disruptor drops coming in from game 2 for Trap here. He is not interested in playing a standard PvZ. At least a standard meta PvZ. By the way, the meta that he has set. Instead, it's much more, well, why don't I go DT into Charge That Archon all in? Why don't I drop some disruptors on your head and hopefully that one works out. Very new and different styles coming in from our Korean Protoss player. But you know, there is merit to this. There is certainly value. And if Serral's not paying attention, it's very easy to lose a mineral line or, you know, half a mineral line to the kind of initial disruptor shots, or just a bunch of queens, which, you know, is arguably is even the greater prize, depending on how many drones you get, of course. But also, I really love what we're seeing from Trap right now. Notice how he's posturing. It's about 4 minutes and 20 seconds. 4 minutes and 30 seconds is the timing for Adept Glaives. So Trap is kind of showing Serral that, look at me, I am playing Glaive Adepts. Even if you haven't scouted what I've done or not done, I'm playing Gladepts. All right, that is very kind of going to be quote-unquote obvious to Serral right now. But Trap behind this, of course, he has Disruptor Speed. Warp Prism Speed is about halfway done. Disruptors are on the way. And we're going to see those really about 5:30, 5:45 Disruptor drops that are hopefully going to disrupt the game plan of Serral in this game. At least if they will hopefully do that if you are a Trap fan. But already taking so much damage here on this Warp Prism is not ideal. You want to be able to be a little bit more gutsy with your Warp Prism and with your disruptors in this game to make sure you can kill off queens and kill off you know, mineral lines, things like that. But by taking so much damage to that Warp Prism, it almost necessitates getting a second one. I mean, Trap won't, because that's expensive and it messes away from build time. Because the way you play this build is all about layers and layers and layers of attacks. Layer 1, maybe some adept pressure, whatever. I mean, that's just early game kind of stock standard shenanigans. But layer 1 prime, maybe. The key layer 1 attack is with these two disruptors in the Warp Prism. And doing so, you're trying to knock down queens. You're trying to knock down army if you can get it. You're trying to knock down, well, economy. As the adepts are going to be very successful here, getting 6 workers for their troubles. And then you're like, okay, great. I forced a response out of my opponent, whether it's economic, whether it's military. Man, these two adepts get 7. Oh, okay, yeah, only 7. But now the disruptors are going to find its way onto the main base here. Serral, is he paying attention? Yeah, he is. But still, 10 workers go down. And this is starting to snowball for Trap just a little bit. Anyways, the build here, right? So it goes with disruptors and it may be a couple of adepts or two, which in this case were the majority of the damage. And you're just trying to eke out value that way. You're trying to keep the Zerg down. You're trying to keep the Zerg trading in an inferior manner. But you're going to get a third, right? This is a macro build. Not really. It's a 3-base all-in. And generally, we see the Protoss player move out when they have 2 Colossus, 2 Disruptors, as we see right now, but also Blink. And Blink is a little bit further away. +1 as well. So this might be kind of a 3 Colossus, 2 Disruptor idea instead of the 2 Colossus, 2 Disruptor. Now Roach's Ravagers are going to try to find their way on in here. Serral looking to kneecap this before things happen in earnest, but those two Colossus are going to be very scary for him, and he will be forced back for now. And we see the immediate Spire go down. I don't know that the Spire is going to be on time enough this game. And now Disruptor shots go. Oh, Serral, you got to be very careful. Wow, last second splits. Only 2 Ravagers instead of every single one, which is kind of what it was looking like it was going to be for a second. Nice splits there from Serral. We are starting to see a little bit of value from Trap here. All right, let's see. So the Spire is just about done, but I worry that Serral has dropped the Spire too late. This is actually kind of one of those anti-timings that you'll see happen in TVZ as well, where the player that's going mutas, or I mean, it is mutas in this case, or maybe Corruptors just because of the tech, but in general, going Spire tech gets caught right before they're ready to really move out. So they're forced to spend all that money that they have saved into army that is, of course, going to be delayed in coming out because you've been trying to, not build them as much as you can. But now let's see. Disruptor Shot 1 is going to come out here. It's not really going to get all that much here. Second Disruptor Shot as well. So that means the burst damage is done. It's all about the more sustained DPS now here. Really, it's all about these force fields. And now Serral looking to break this. Coming on in from every side. The Concave is going to be decent. The Disruptor, or the Ravager shots are not going to miss. Or not going to hit, but now this is 4 Colossus on the field, and the army of Serral is starting to fall down just a little bit. These Colossus are being microed masterfully, but one will go down here as the Queen Star can fire the Warp Prism, but I am not convinced that it is going to be enough here. The majority of the army of Serral is now dead. He's down on army supply. Compared to what Trap has at this point, it looks like Trap has found his all-in. He's found his timing. GG Trap. He ties the series up. And now, folks, it's a best of 3. It's going to be a robo opening from Trap once again, really kind of showing that he is, I don't know, maybe afraid of Serral's response to Stargate, or he just doesn't feel like Stargate is the best play in the meta right now. But this is now our 3rd game in a row where we've seen Trap open with some version of a robo opening. Game 1 was DT drops into charge lots. Game number 2, of course, was Disruptor drops into the, actually in this game, Quad Colossus, double Disruptor, Blink Stalker all in. We're gonna have to see what he looks to go for in game number 3. Is this just your stock standard glaive build? Does he do something a little bit more oddball? Now, for now, we don't know too much, but we'll find out eventually here. And of course, Serral, for his part, it's drones. We're not going to see too much decision making for right now, but there we go. Okay, Adept will find its way on in, and 1 worker will go down. We're gonna have to see how many more hit the dirt before this game is over. It's 2 workers to go down. He's gonna get 3 and a forced Spore Cancel. That's a very nice trade for Trap in this game, and he was gonna go for Disruptor shops again. I mean, I guess that's fair. If it ain't broke, why fix it? Trap wins game number 2 with Disruptor drops into really he won game 2 with random Adepts in Serral's bases and then a bunch of Colossus, but the Disruptor drops happened in there and they killed like 2 Ravagers. They count. It's fine. Now we have the fake Adept idea moving out across the map once again. This time it's only 3, not 4, as that Adept did go down. But here it's Trap fainting. He's saying, Serral, react to my glaive Adept timing once again. And Serral is. I mean, he's gonna see what's happening now. So he's not really gonna do too much, but he did build a bunch of lings to make sure that he could defend this. Now, there we go. Drones are going to get pulled, but we're going to see more drones go down once again here. It's going to be 3. Okay, so it's going to be a grand total of 6 for 5 Adepts. That's going to be a lot nicer for Serral than what he saw. Excuse me, 4 Adepts, which is going to be a whole lot nicer than what Serral suffered with in that last game. As Zergling stream across the map here to try to cancel the 3rd base that is not even going to be attempted. But if they can dive on top of the sentries, maybe out of shield battery range, that is going to be valuable indeed. But there we go. Our Disruptor is nearly done. And actually, it looks like we're going to see a more committed timing. 2 base all-in from Trap in this game as he's adding 5 additional gateways and the Colossus. So the last game, we saw the 3rd base. We saw it was a 4 Colossus, 2 Disruptor all-in. But off the 3rd base. This game, we're going to see a much quicker timing, where it's a double Disruptor, double Colossus. You do not get that 3rd base, as the Queen is going to be assassinated, of course, by these Disruptors. Not a whole lot you can do about that as Serral. I mean, unless I guess maybe you morph into Dropper Lord to try to save it, but Hive is not done, or Lair is not done, so that doesn't really matter. And even then, I think the Dropper Lord morph in time is going to be slower than the Disruptor, so that doesn't. Anyway, needless theory crafting. Point being, it's a dead Queen. As more and more gateways are getting added here. Now, there is no Twilight. All right, so these Zealots that are being warped in, they have no charge. Any Stalkers they get warped in have no blink. The gateway units are far less impressive than they might otherwise be. And actually, was this going to be single? Oh, interesting. Not even double Colossus. It's going to be single Colossus here and just mass gateway. So it really is all going to be on the force fields. It's all going to be on these disruptor shots. And it's all going to be on the surrounds that Serral is going to look to hopefully achieve. Hopefully, of course, if you are a Serral fan in this game. There we go. Zergling's looking for that run by, but there's Zell in the wall. There's a shield battery behind that. That's not going to get all that much, but now it's time for Trap to really start to put his pressure on in. But remember, these Stalkers have no blink. They don't have a lot of bonus cost-effective trading ability here, but they will move forward. Disruptor shots are going to move out, but number one doesn't hit. Actually, number two does not hit at all here. Yes, some creeps going down, but that's just about it, as the Colossus takes damage, and Serral's army supply just continues to grow and grow and grow. Disruptor shots are, Ravager Miles will land here. And it's so hard for Trap to push into this high ground. The splits from Serral are really good, and pushing into a concave like this is just not something that you often want to do as a Protoss player. But on the flip side, Trap's not too basic. He doesn't have much of a choice in the matter. I mean, look, if he has some big disruptor shots, three Roaches, Ravagers will go down right there. If he has some big disruptor shots, that is going to be something. But the Miles are going to go down. The War Prism goes down, and now there's nothing really to keep this army alive. There's nothing to keep this army really reinforcing anymore. As there we go. The Disruptors are now dead. It's one Colossus. It's a bunch of unblinked Stalkers. And that is it. Now it's Serral's turn to move across the map here, trying to catch this army in the middle because he understands there is no War Prism. As there we go, the Colossus is dead. All the Robotech that has been built in this game, short of, I believe, the two additional Disruptors there we go, that were made. They're dead in this game. They're gone. They don't matter anymore. And now Serral running across the map here. He's up, what, 65 supply on his opponent? These adepts will find their way into the natural, but they're not going to accomplish nearly all that much. Here's Disruptor Shot 1 goes off. Disruptor Shot 2 is pending, I assume. At this point, yeah, there we go. Miles are going down. Serral trying to knock down as many buildings as he can. Prevent Warpins. Prevent, Trap having a life in this game. At this point, I mean, it's not looking good for Trap here. His army is 50% the size of Serral's, and it's not like he has a lot of really tech-heavy Protoss units to really make up for that. He has a couple Disruptors. He has no blink. He has no charge. So the comebacks mechanics that a Protoss player normally relies on, say map rotation, a Warp Prism, big Disruptor. He has the big Disruptor shots, to be fair. He has the potential for that. But everything else, not really there. There we go again. The Queen assassination is successful. Trap will find that at the very least. But now we have a bunch of Banes, Ravagers, Roaches running their way across the map. Serral is getting closer and closer to maxing out. I mean, I don't think he has to wait for a max out. In fact, he's not going to. But just more illustrating the supply differential more than anything else. Here's the Roaches. Ravagers are going to try to get on top of this Colossus. Knock it down. The Disruptor Shot is going to get 2 Roaches. That's something. But unfortunately for Trap here, you need more than something. You need a miracle. And a miracle is not coming here. Bailey's tip crashing on in. Serral, he takes game number 3. He puts himself on series point, looking for David Rogue in the upper bracket finals. So here we are, the rubber match now. Well, I guess technically game 5 would be a rubber match, but certainly we are on match point. Here it is Trap, it is Serral. Winner moves on again. We're talking about this to with Rogue in the winner bracket finals. But only one player can qualify into that from this matchup. That, of course, is Serral. He's up here 2-1. Trap, he's going to have to make something happen if he wants to try to take his way, wants to try to move on here in the upper bracket. Of course, if he falls down, still got a lower bracket to contend with. It still has another shot at the title. It's just with a couple more series and without that safety net that is ever so beautiful. But in this game number 4, I think we might see Trap go back into that Stargate style. We've seen him try the ground style. It has worked once, it has failed twice. And Blackburn is a map that you very much can get away with early Stargate tech. It really, you don't tend to see queen walks all that often, if at all, because it's really hard. Yeah, sure, the rush distance through the middle of the map is fine, but getting on top of the third just takes a lot longer, and with these speed zones or these slow zones, it's pretty easy to lose your queens in that as well. It just tends to, and especially with the dead airspace, it tends to make a lot more sense for A, the Skytoss player to play Skytoss, and B, for the Zerg to go more kind of a Spire response. So we're gonna have to see if that's what Serral wants to go for, if that's what Trap wants to go for. But right now, Trap, I mean, his back is against the wall here. He's tried the same idea 3 times in a row, or the same variant of an idea 3 times in a row. It's kind of worked, and even in the game, it worked. It really felt that it didn't work because it worked. It worked because he got a lot of damage with like 2 adepts, that more damage than he had any right to get done with 2 adepts. And at that point, it was kind of Serral reeling and trying to find his way back. And well, Colossus are an army you kind of need to fight from a lead, from an advantage. And when you don't have that, it tends to snowball rather quickly. And there we go. Warp Gate is underway. So Trap, he's gonna go play the Void Ray style. How many Stargates we see, I don't know. Whether this is +1 air, +0 air, we're gonna have to find out. But considering that this is, of course, Stargate into Warp Gate, which is interesting, by the way, for Trap. Generally, he goes the other way around. It's most likely not going to be +1 air because, well, it just means you get that +1 air late. And it means if you go Stargate into Warp Gate into +1 air, the +1 often is not done by the time any early aggression is happening. And really, that's the big timing difference that you're looking for. So you'll get that +1 eventually, but you're not looking for the really quick timing quite as much. Now, Serral, for his part, he's going to have to play a very different style in this game. He's played lots of Roaches, lots of Ravagers, you know, just defending and defending in games 1 through 3. And it mostly worked. I mean, again, game 2 was that anomaly. But his opponent is going to play a much more defensive style in this game. And the first thing, of course, is Serral's going to have to recognize what's happening. Because, you know, we talked about, well, okay, seeing the Void Ray, that's going to tell him pretty much everything he needs to know. But, you know, we talk about how good of a scouting player Serral is, how good he is at making sure he knows what his opponent is doing pretty much at all times. But a couple times in this series, it's felt like he hasn't quite been able to get a read on Trap. I mean, even in the games that he has won, you know, when the Adepts run in and we see Serral kind of building a spine in his third to go in for the DRG defense and like assuming that it is a, well, like it's Glaive Adept timing, when, you know, if he had scouted a little bit better, he would have known kind of exactly what it was. You know, part of that is when do you send your Overlords in? But really, you know, Serral, he doesn't have the full 100% idea of everything that his opponent is doing, like he sometimes does. In this series, Trap's done a very good job of that, and it will be +1 air after all. Okay. That does mean we will see a second Stargate coming in soon enough, as the third base is going down. I mean, this is not the slow. Actually, yeah, this was the 353rd. So, yeah, Trap, he's going to be fine here. The Oracles look to move in, try to find some value. Only 1 drone will kick the bucket. But Serral, as he still builds queens, he's going up to 6 right now. I don't think this is going to be a walk of the queens. Generally, you want to go up to like at least be building 2 at a time right now, instead of just kind of going up to 6, which is a nice solid defensive number against Void Rays early on. But the other interesting thing here, this is wait, this was canceled. Oh yeah, +1 air was canceled. Okay, so this is actually Trap not going for +1 air, not go. Oh, actually going for +1 air in second start. Trap. I am confused. I gotta assume canceling that was a mistake, or maybe it was oh hey, he just wants to kind of throw the timing of Serral off by revealing that he's getting +1 air, even if he's not, even if he's planning on doing it anyways. But if Serral is assuming that's an early +1 air, then maybe he attacks. He doesn't attack, and that keeps Trap safe as Trap just tries to greed out. I don't know. Maybe it's mind games, maybe it's just a mistake. We'll see. But anyway, Serral kind of realizing that the way this game is going to go regardless, immediately into that infestation pit, immediately into, well, eventually immediately. Let me say eventually immediately into that hive. So he's just developing his tech as far as he can as he develops his economy. And we are again seeing Trap really look to capitalize on this kind of the death pressure that has been so successful in this game. He's going to get 4 or 5 workers here. Actually, maybe even more, but no. Well, actually, with these drones popping, maybe he will be able to do that. But 5 workers, most 6 workers will go down for 2 adepts. Absolutely. Trap's going to take that one in spades. Wait, are we going to see... We're not going to see Trap play Void Ray Colossus, are we? That would be an anachronistic style. No, okay, it's Carrier Disruptor. I think that's yeah, there we go. Disruptors are going to be on the way. Void Ray is, of course, the intermediary tech, but you go into Carrier Disruptor. It's not quite Carrier Storm. You know, you don't have anything to really do burst AoE damage in the air like Storm provides. But... You know, Disruptors are just a little bit tankier than High Templar is. They have a little bit more range. And they, you know, burst things down. They burst roaches and queens down, whereas Storm doesn't really do all that much to a bunch of queens. You just kind of transfuse through it and you're fine. But now here we go. We have Serral marching forward. We talked about the lack of a queen walk. Well, he's just going to do a 4-base queen walk instead because his creep is already there, so you might as well break this 4th base down. Trap tries to take the forward one. Disruptor shots are not going to go off. In fact, we're going to see a lot of stuff go down here. This 4th base should go down as the Ravagers, the Biles, they're just so oppressive. You're forcing the Void Rays back. But Serral's going to be pretty happy with that. I mean, that's all he's walking these queens for. He's just trying to prevent the 4th base from going up. So the queens are going to go back home. They're going to go back, spread creep, and inject, and do all that fun stuff. And I mean, that's all that Serral cared about. Interesting. That's the most non-committal queen walk I've ever seen. Now these queens do have to be careful because if they get kind of segmented off, the Void Rays can kill them quickly enough, but they're not going to get segmented off too badly. And there we go. Spire's on the way. We have Vipers on the way as well. And there we go. The 4th base is going to be canceled once again. So now we're hitting... It's about 8 minutes and 30 seconds of this game. Trap's going to try to take the upper side, the upper left side, the gold base now. But Zerglings will at least kill the probe, kill the defending zealot. But there's more where that came from. So Trap will be able to at least get this structure up, or at least get it starting to build in some way, shape, or form. And the bottom base too. Kind of really playing like a Zerg here, almost saying, look, you can take 1 base of mine, but you can't take both. There's a Trap will be supply block here. Queen's moving on forward. I'm kind of surprised we don't have any infestors right now with the amount of queens that Serral has. He's at 16, by the way. This is very much starting to look like the Dark style, right? Where you go mass queen, mass roach, build a bunch of infestors, and say, hey, look, I'm not dying. But Serral's not doing that. He just built mass queen, mass roaches. These Zerglings, they're going to get very close to killing this base out, but they're not going to. Oh, they will, and that's a kill, not a cancel. So massive moves there for Serral, as he will lose his gold. Yeah, he's going to lose his gold here. Or not. Actually, no, the queens should be able to... Yeah, the base goes down. But for a Void Ray. So it's not free. Ooh, nice pick there. So Viper is going to be out of position. The queens are going to move forward, and we really have a very segmented army of Serral right now. Wait, the Viper will not go down. I mean, it's kind of funny. You see this fight. Queens are very good at not dying, but they're also not that great at doing tons and tons and tons of DPS. So the carrier will die, as it is woefully out of position, but a Viper will trade trade its life in exchange. And honestly, I feel like if you trap, he'll deal with that. I think actually both players are going to be pretty happy with things. I mean, carriers are pretty expensive, but so are Vipers, and Vipers are expensive in both time and in money because it takes a while for them to get their energy back. You got to go consume and take them away from the fight. But there we go. Now we're starting to see infestors hit the field eventually. And this is where we're going to start to see the army of Serral become terrifying. He's not going to go try to kill the army of Trap with massive, with just a lot of units that actually do damage. No, it's going to be fungal parasitic bombs are going to be the name of the game. And eventually, yes, we have Broodlords coming out, we have Corruptors. But in this, for the next 5 minutes, I mean, the really scary part of this army is not, sure, it's the Queens, but they don't do a lot of anti-air. It's, of course, it's just going to be these spellcasters. But now we got the Golden Armada coming on out here. +2 air, +2 air is not a thing, right? So this is not going to be that +2 carrier timing, but they still have +1. They are still terrifying, and there's not a lot of static defense in the main base just yet. There is some, but not really. And actually, I mean, here's one of the problems with the Queens. They do a lot of stuff. They're good anti-air, but they're really kind of weird. You know, they're clumsy units here. The starter shots are going to go on, and that's going to be a lot of these Queens going down. Trap trying to do what he can to break his way on through, but the parasitic bombs on these carriers, are they doing enough to knock down the interceptor? Interceptor count at 28 here. My curvature shots are starting to go down. They're starting to run out, and Serral, I don't think he has any more, but the stack defense is going to move forward. And yeah, Trap, he doesn't lose any carriers, or at least not many, but his interceptor count is down to 8. He doesn't really have a fighting army here, just an army that does something. There we go. Disruptors are going to get an Infestor. It's going to get a bunch of Ravagers. And still, again, Archon will go down, but that is going to be a trade that Trap's going to be very happy with. Is again, his interceptor count going up by 8 at a time, but that's still not a lot. That is still not a lot here as the Queens are starting to fire here. Parasitic Bomb on top of the carriers. Once again, the Broodlords looking for something to fight. They really just don't have anything to fight. That we will see the Void Ray go down. But now it's really all about the ground army here for Trap, as he's trying to make something happen with that, which means these Broodlords, they're going to have a purpose in life again. As you got to be very careful with those Corruptors there. The Archons are going to do a lot of damage. But now it is 5 carriers instead of 8. It is 3 interceptors on the map. It is 2 Void Rays. Trap's army is falling apart in this game. Instead of kind of sitting back waiting for himself to get back up to that 56 interceptor mark, he says, no, I need to take the fight right here, right now, when I'm in a fairly good position to do so. In terms of like positioning on the map, not say how good your army is. And that means that Serral just absolutely annihilated that fight. All right, so now we got to drop in the main base, and this is where the transition to ground actually it tends to be a little bit scary here for the Zerg player, because yeah, Serral has this terrifying army. He has Broodlords, he has Infestors, he has Queens, he has this army that, in all honesty, Trap can't really fight, not easily, but it's a very immobile army. As what went down? Yeah, the spawning pool is going to go has gone down. Just lots and lots of tech is starting to go down here for Serral. 21 workers as well. It's kind of hard for him to react to what Trap is doing, even as, you know, Serral has double the army supply of what Trap has, even as Serral has a, you know, equivalent economy. Not a bigger one, even if he does have an extra base, but an equivalent one to be sure. It's difficult for Serral to really react to what Trap is doing. It looks like he's got a much better kind of split of his army now, so that thing that Trap did where he kind of attacks in 3 places at once, I don't know how useful it's going to be later on. That is a dead arc. That should be a dead Archon. There we go. Hey, that's expensive. That cost a lot, as we're going to see a lot of Archons moving in. Charge that Archon with a bunch of Void Rays, by the way. 3 Void Rays coming out at a time here to deal with all of the heavily armored units that Serral has. We have a lot of Corruptors now. We have a lot of Broodlords. There are going to be some Roaches on the ground. All of these things, Void Rays fighting pretty well. And the most important thing, of course, is the fact that Trap has not revealed. He's not revealed the Void Rays to Serral at this point. At least not the large amounts of them. Serral knows that Void Rays are a thing. But the fact that there are, you know, 5 Void Rays on the map, that 3 were being made at a time, maybe Serral is not quite aware of that just yet. But now the army of Trap, once again, It's not maxed out, but it's not minus 60 army supply anymore. It's in there, a decent amount of Archons, decent amount of Zealots, but at this point, I mean, we have 32 Interceptors. So really the scary thing is the army on the ground. With these Broodlords just kind of sitting here trying to zone things out, that's going to be all about everything. As now the Microbial Shroud is on these Queens, but hey, Archons don't care about the Microbial Shroud. They're going to die anyways. The Void Rays go down. The Broodlords, they're fighting strong. How many Interceptors do we have? The answer is 9. The stack defense has done its job. Now these Archons are going to be forced back in totality here. Nice abducts on the carriers. One goes down. Second one is going to go down as well. And again, Trap will be rebuffed. But what does he get in the meantime here? It looks like this 5th base of Serral will go down. Not without losing all the Zealots, but the 5th base has gone down here. 9 drones as well as the Archon finds its way into that gold base. And it's not ideal for Trap. But at least he gets something out of it. At least he finds some semblance of value in this game for a game that really has not been looking all that good for him for quite a while. In fact, he is down 9,000 resources lost in a game where Serral has mined more. These better be some damn good storms that we're going to see from Trap here. Oh, the the bird banelings. I don't think they're going to do all that much, but hey, it's cute. As there we go. The Trap will lose this prospective 5th base. He's been trying to take this base this entire game. I don't think he's mined more than, say, 100 minerals out of it. But Tempests are starting to fit the field here for Trap just a little bit. It's going to make, theoretically, going to make dealing with these Broodlords a little easier, but of course, Trap doesn't have any Oracle, so the vision, the vision range is not going to be nearly as nice as he would like it to be, because of course, Tempests, like tanks, their attack ranges are greater than their vision radius, which it's nice. It does mean that you can shoot further. It means you can absolutely tear down some Broodlords, but if you just can't see it because you don't have that Oracle there, or you don't have an observer for it, which you're not going to have. Serral's going to kill that one really quickly. It's a little bit more complicated, but there we go. Oracle's now underway as Baneling's looking to roll in here. Couple will burrow, the rest of them, they're going to get target fired down. And there is detection here, so these Banelings will go down. That was cute from Serral, but at the end of the day, it's not going to do too much for him. I mean, it's forcing some APM out of Trap, so I guess that's something. But look at this. Trap, he's got the mothership on the way, so either minus 400 to minus 400, or, we started to see Protoss players really start to mess around with this idea of using the mothership not as a main army tool, but as a tool to move the main army around. So you see the army on the right side, like on the north side, and then the mothership's on the south side, and suddenly there's an entire Golden Armada in the main base. Or if it's, what was that game? There was a game I cast recently where we had a Protoss player try to, on Glittering Ashes, just try to avoid the lurkers, so he just teleports his army about 5 feet from outside of the natural into the natural of the Zerg player. I forget exactly who did that, but it was baller as hell. Anyway, the army of start moving on forward here. Looks like he does not have Tectonic Destabilizers done yet, or really at all, as we will see that we will see the Oracles go down here. Nice Fungal on top of a bunch of these High Templar. It means that, oh, there we go. Fungal on top of these, Fungal on top of these Tempests as well, which means there's just so much less damage to deal with the Broodlords. So the Broodlord Siege is even scarier than it already was here. We have, of course, the Corruptors. They got to be careful because the Void Rays, I mean, this is still +1 air, but I mean, the Corruptors at this point, they have superior upgrades. This it's 1/1 air versus just the +1. The Corruptors, yeah, there we go. Parasitic Bombs coming on in as well. The Broodlords moving in to this base that honestly Trap doesn't really care about anymore. It's mined out, but it is space control. And if Serral's going to be able to take this base, he's going to be able to take the upper left. Archons, Zealots, they're going to try to do some counterattack, hoping against hope that it's going to do enough here. But Banelings are going to kill off everything. Not enough has gone down, and the Broodlord push, well, the Broodlord push is terrifying. Zealots from the backside trying to find something here. Trap saying, I cannot fight your army anymore, but maybe, just maybe, I can play around it. Your army is slow. It's unwieldy. You don't have a really good way to reposition it. And that is true. But for all those things, hey, the mothership is with the army, but it's not going to be enough. GG. Serral moves on. Trap, he falls down to the lower bracket. He's going to have another shot at victory. Not through the upper. Now, folks, again, if you like what we do here, make sure to like, comment, subscribe on the video. Do that. It really does help us out. And if you like what I do, I stream EPT Cups every Monday from about noon to midnight Eastern, and other stuff as well. Anyway, folks, and that's, of course, at twitch.tv/BMLF. But anyways, folks, have a good night, morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is for you. Thanks so much for watching. See you on the flip side.